I have done a Stickman playing basketball animation in 10 seconds, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and 10 hours. Let's play basketball. You know how quickly these 10 seconds pass. Like many times, we didn't pass the single frame, and our basket ended up looking like a butterfly catching net with a big hole in it. That's a good profile picture for the black Stickman. This was the first time I was animating on the updated version of Flipaclip, so I couldn't find some things easily. Still, I went ahead, drew the basketball pole and the net, and added 5 frames so we could get the ball in the basket. While animating the ball, I felt like he is throwing the Pokemon ball rather than the basketball. Still, that basket convinces me that it is a basketball video. I was able to throw the ball and make it through the basket, but time was ended before I could make any additional frames. At least we got something here. Also, huge improvement from the last time. First I made the base. Then I drew the supporting pole, backboard, rim, and net. The net looks pretty easy to draw, but it is difficult if you draw it without any reference or practice. Here I didn't take any reference, so it looks messed up. After 3 minutes, it was time for our Stickman to take a free throw. Just want to clarify that I just studied some rules of basketball and watched a couple of games to create this video. So if I get any terms or words wrong, correct me in the comments. Here I drew the basketball, which we get in emojis. When 2 minutes were remaining, I added the head. Added a couple of frames in the last few seconds, and our animation was ready. Finally, a nice shot. Here I thought background should be an outdoor basketball court. Drew the basket and the blue floor with basic markings. I wanted to draw the real grass, so I used a hairbrush. But I thought this would consume more time, so I painted on it with an airbrush. It gave the background some depth. The background was looking a bit empty, so I decided to add the trees. Just before finalizing the background, I changed the basketball floor's perspective. After 22 minutes, I went for the Stickman. For animation, I had the idea that I should go with 2 Stickmen, one in defense and one in attack. I finalized the yellow and black Stickman. But as I started animating the yellow Stickman, I realized that I would not be able to add another Stickman, so I decided to stick with the yellow Stickman. Yellow dribbles and gets inside a 2-point area, and for a twist, he fakes a shot and then takes the shot with a jump. Here I chose the yellow Stickman, because it was the only one that didn't merge into the background. I drew and added the same basketball as before. Remember that the moving ball not only moves up and down, but also moves forward. It follows the diagonal path like this. I added the head and in the last few minutes and animated the net. With some corrections, our animation was ready. This was going to be in a proper basketball indoor stadium. I looked at some reference images of the court so I could draw the lines properly. I wanted to include some audience, so I left space above the court and added the seats. I also placed the LED displays I saw in some games. I used them to name our court Stickman Basketball Arena. I also added the reflection of those displays on the surface outside the playing area. Once I thought to add the audience, but I kept it for later. Then I started to create the right side of the court, which was just a mirror image of the left side court except for the text on the display and its reflection. Now we had 2 backgrounds covering both sides. I wanted to create a third background, which will only be used to show the transition from one side to another, and also will give a complete view of the court. Here proportions were different and I had to extend the field of view, so I decided to add the huge central display, which is also called the Jumbotron. I also added the seats, which were just copy-paste of the previous background, but I had to adjust their size. I was ready to start the Stickman animation, but I thought I should add some light and shadows, which can give a different vibe to viewers. After 2 hours of background work, I started animating the Stickman. I decided to include 4 characters. Blue and black is the team on the right, while red and green on the left. I started with a left side background with black and blue attacking. Blue held the ball, dribbled, and then passed it to black, who scored. I added the same ball as before. Here I made some adjustments to the trajectory of the floating basketball. I used the circle tool for it, marked the trajectory, and then added the ball accordingly. I added the ball from early on because I had to time everything together. Once I added the ball, I had to draw the all Stickman in that frame itself. Because I add an in-between frame, it will also become the in-between frame for the basketball, and the timing would go off. After black and blue, I added the green and red Stickman. I also added the animation to the net. Here, the green and red Stickman's task was nothing but to react to the black and blue Stickman's movement because they knew the script. After finishing all 4 Stickman actions and timing them, I decided to add the head so I could manage the remaining time. I completed the whole left side animation just above the 6-hour mark. It was time to animate the second scene. This scene was only to show the transition, or shift of the play from the left to the right side of the court. Since it was a view from far away, I had to reduce the size of the ball and the Stickman. I added every Stickman, also added the head and the ball. This took about 45 minutes, and we had 3 hours remaining for our final scene. From that, I reserved 1 hour for head placement and some adjustments, so we had 2 hours in hand. After I shifted to our final scene and created a third project, I didn't enable the time-lapse recording button, which I realized after hitting 10 hours mark. I was angry and frustrated, but I still needed to go for it again. So, I said, let's go for it. I kept the few frames of green Stickman from the no time-lapse project, and for that, I deducted 30 minutes and went for the 2 hours and 30 minutes. Here, green dribbles the ball and passes it to red. Red catches the ball, jumps, and dunks it into the net. Powerful shot. After that, they run to celebrate. Green has some nice skills. He should play in NBA. I will show you the result of the no time-lapse project after our 10-hour version. You can tell me which one you liked the most. Here I reduced the time of the animation and decided to animate some audience which I neglected in the no time-lapse project. After some corrections and adjustments, our animation was ready. Thanks for watching.